Welcome to the Chronicles of Cigarnia, where we pair and review cigars and books. And the result is just that life is really darn good. Today I have this gorgeous coffee table book slash cookbook slash cocktail book, Apertivo, by Marisa Huff, and the photographs are by Andrea Fazzari, and there are some beautiful ones in here. We are pairing it with the Romeo y Julieta Vintage 3. Paired it first because that color matches pretty well, but once we get into it, you'll see that I had some other motives for flavor as far as this pairing goes. A fun part of cigar culture is finding the appropriate pairing of food and beverage to your cigar. What people new to cigars might not realize is that the cigar will dramatically alter the flavor and the aroma of whatever you happen to be imbibing at the time. I use the word imbibing. So even a simple glass of water will suddenly become sweet, or some herbal qualities might come out, or even that fluoride might suddenly show up depending on the different cigar that you're smoking. So without further ado, the cigar. As I said, this is the Romeo y Julieta Vintage 3. It is a light brown tan, I would say almost like a dirty blonde color here. Lots of veins in there, if you can see that. I like this band. If I could get a close-up without my fingers looking enormous. Well, the finger, should've got a manicure. The band is reminiscent of some of the old school bands you'll see in people's collections. That red and gold color really helps. The coinage on the side, that swelling in the middle. Very nice, very old school. I appreciate it. What is there is just a lovely sweetness. Oh. Here we have it. Wah wah. But close, right? There it went. A little vegetal. This might be very shocking as I say this, but for the pre-light draw, tastes a little like tobacco. Okay, and just a few details while I am lighting this. This is a 5x50 ring gauge. It has a Mexican binder and a Dominican filler. Yay! First impression is of a charred woodiness. Yep, but not in a bad way. And we'll see how it develops. You can never tell from the first taste. So let's keep going and get on with that book. The book with all of my bookmarks in it. I enjoy larger format coffee table books like this because not only do you get really quality informative nonfiction on whatever the subject is, but you also get gorgeous photographs. And with this book, you get the added inspiration of wanting to go out and try to make some of the recipes and cocktails that are in here. So about 10 years ago, my husband came back from visiting family in Italy, and he was talking about the idea of apertivos. I think the equivalent in America would be happy hour, though I think in Italy it's less, I don't want to say indulgent, but maybe this is just me. I go to happy hour and I see all you can eat mozzarella sticks. My eyes glaze over and it's just like, it's done. I'm done for the night. He also started to make this gorgeous red beverage, and since then it has become ubiquitous. The Negroni has had a major moment. So with trends like that, I tend to try to play it cool and kind of give it the side eye and stick with what I like. But with the Negroni and its little party animal sister, the Aperol Spritz, I kind of got sucked in. Mostly just because I don't drink very much. I am a pathetic lightweight. Alcohol does not make any of this look or feel very good. And a lot of these drinks have a base of campari, which as an ingredient has gentian root, which is supposed to be good for your digestion. A fun fact I learned in this book. So for me, good for a lightweight, good for digestion, beautiful red color. It's a win, really. But don't let this picture fool you. This book is not just about those red Campari drinks in case you don't like those. There are Bellinis and martinis and vermouth drinks and some beer ideas and some wine pairings. There are many, many different options in here. The book focuses on everything about Apertivo time in Italy. It's organized by region, and then it will tell you the history of the regional beverage and some science and how it's made, and then it will give you recipes for said beverage, and then it will give you recipes for the food of the region that goes with that drink. It will also have fun facts or stories about how it came to be, and the author throws them in almost as casual asides while you're reading through a recipe. Okay, I'm getting into the first third of the cigar. That charred wood that was the initial pop of flavor is still the predominant one. There might be a little bit of coffee in there also, but not terribly complex. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. And you can see with the burn, it's just a little uneven, but not so bad. It's correcting itself. Some pretty tight looking ash on there. I decided to make for this episode an Americano featured in this book. It is 1 part Campari, 1 part vermouth, and 1 part sparkling water. Now, your choice of vermouth is where people get very passionate, shall we say. There are definitely some suggestions in the book. I'll let you experiment and find which one you like best. It's like a party in here. Oh my gosh, I have my very beautiful beverage. I have my cigar. How happy am I right now, right? Jessica, life is good. Cheers. Okay, back to business. For those of you who aren't familiar with Campari, it is at once very sweet and very herbal. For most people, it's an acquired taste, but if you're kind of weird like me, you taste it and you love it immediately. Okay, to my great sadness, I think I have to put the cigar and the drink down to show you this, but as I was saying, some of the best things about these books are the photographs, and I just want to share with you some of the wonderful Italian scenery that you get in this book. Oh, wait. Beautiful Italian scenery. Let's be equal opportunity here. Onward to Venice. Aha. Ah, Milan. Someday. How refreshing does this look? Non-alcoholic. So beautiful. Does this drink look familiar? And for those of you who aren't so keen on Campari, the Bellini. There are like 15 different recipes for Bellinis in here. And I think 9 Negronis, so variety. He looks happy. Who wouldn't be? Look what he's serving. Another great thing about this book is it passes the Chronicles of Cigarnia Incompetent Cookbook test. And by that I mean not the cookbook is incompetent, but the cook is incompetent. Can you completely, terribly, utterly, horrifically, embarrassingly mess up the recipe and still have something edible and kind of delicious at the end? Yes, the breadsticks I made were really surprisingly good, considering the recipe was actually supposed to be for focaccia. Okay, I am just barely into the second third of the cigar, and yes, I'm so glad. I was starting to get a little nervous in the first third, like, just charred wood. The char has gone away. There is now a smoothness in that woody flavor. It is quite nice. Every once in a while, I'll get a hint of cream, but yeah, it's just become much more delicious. Yay! Now check out this ash. I went to go knock it off because, you know, I assume it was gonna fall off. It does not wanna come off. It is packed on there. The construction of this is so tight that the ash is like, nope, I'm staying around for the whole episode. So we'll see how it goes, and might end up wearing it, but you know. As I had mentioned, a cigar will make everything taste and smell differently, so, oh. Okay, that's kind of unexpected. This drink usually has a strong, sweet and herbal aroma. I'm hardly getting anything. That's kind of weird. Okay, so what it's done, and this is interesting, this drink usually is very herbal and sweet at the same time. It has diminished the herbal quality of it and really brought out the sweetness, which for me is a good thing because I have a pretty massive sweet tooth. So back to the book, I want to share with you an example of one of the anecdotes she gives. And this one has to do with the origins of the Negroni. It is named after Count Negroni, and evidently this count would go to the same bar. His wife would come with them, and she wasn't so keen on how much alcohol he was drinking. So he would drink an Americano to make her happy. Has that water in it, right? The bartender was his buddy, and the bartender would start to make him an Americano Negroni style. which means he swapped the sparkling water with gin. The drink looks the same, but it's definitely way higher octane. And the bartender, to indicate that this is what he was serving, would serve it with an entire wheel of orange instead of the half wheel that I have in my Americano. And that's how you knew it was an Americano Negroni style. Clever. But I'm sure the wife didn't think so. And as with any great secret, people caught on to this and started ordering their Americanos Negroni style. And here we are almost 100 years later, and it's a trend in America. Look at me on a Monday night. So tired. So to sum up this book, you can see it's got beautiful pictures, it's got a lot of information about the drinks, it's got inspirational recipes that you really can't mess up. And it's got some fun stories. So if you see it randomly and you're looking for some good inspiration and a little bit of vicarious getaway, I do recommend it. Apertivo. All right, I do feel like this is gonna go down shortly, so let's see if this will. Nope. Nope. My. Oh, that nice glowing pyramid. So the tasting panel all chose different cigars to go with either their Negroni or their Americano or whatever they were choosing. We just chose different drinks from this book and tried to see what would go together. Yes, it was a good time. What we tended to find, and this is totally unscientific, I assure you, was that the higher octane drinks, the drinks with the more alcohol in it, went well with the stronger flavored cigars. For example, the Negroni, which has gin in it, did well with a stronger, more complex flavored cigar. Whereas this Americano, which is much more mild, I am really appreciating with the more mild Romeo y Julieta. And they're not fighting each other necessarily, if that makes sense. Okay, back to the cigar. This is ending quite nicely. That woodiness that I got in the second third has just continued on to the third. There hasn't been that much change. Stayed together pretty well. Didn't have to relight at all. Oh, nice. So I told you how the cigar was affecting the drink and that it brought the sweetness out. What's interesting is how the drink affects the cigar. So that wood definitely remains, but it brings forward an herbal quality in the cigar that isn't there when you smoke it without the drink, which totally makes sense since Campari is an herbal beverage, right? And it tends to bring out the more cedar flavor in this woodiness. And actually that is why I picked this cigar in the first place, is because I knew it had some cedar tendencies. Okay, to sum up this cigar, it's not terribly complex, but it is smooth, it is simple, it's kind of refreshing in that way. So for me, I think this is a good cigar if you have a second thing going on. For example, if you are having a cocktail, right? Or you're in a social situation and you're engaging with people and you're not able to focus solely on the cigar. Or I know some people like to golf while they smoke, so while golfing, or the best option, if you're reading. That way you can enjoy the flavors that there are without getting wrapped up into the complexity of it, and just enjoy the experience of smoking while doing this other thing. So I think that is what I would definitely recommend this cigar for. Okay, before we go any further, I want to say thank you, of course, to my tasting panel who indulged me by having more than one cocktail while I only had like a half of one. As an example, I am halfway through this and I'm feeling it. That's how lightweight I am. Thank you for all of your wonderful comments. I really appreciate them. And most importantly, thank you for watching. I know this takes a chunk out of your day, and the fact that you will sit down to watch these really makes my heart happy. So thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Okay, for next time, I'm not exactly sure because I am neck and neck with two different books as far as progress. So we will either have a fantasy adventure by one of our greatest living fantasy writers, or we will have a deep dive into psychology inspired by one of my favorite fictional characters, How to Think Like Sherlock Holmes, the greatest detective of all time. In the meantime, I hope you're smoking some good cigars, maybe having a nice beverage to go with them. I hope you're reading some fabulous books. But ideally, of course, I hope you're doing them all at the same time. Thank you so much again for watching. I'll see you soon. Ulterior motive. And oh my goodness, a bird just flew in here. Are you okay? Okay, he's okay. Just a few feathers down. Oh, God. And I've forgotten to... Oh. Hello. A rabbit just ran up to my shoes. And now it's running away. That's weird.